Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about something that's been on my heart for a while, something that might be holding you back from stepping into everything you're meant to be. Don't fight your future. Embracing the process is about understanding that life is not a series of instant results, but rather a journey of growth and development. In a world that thrives on immediacy, where everything is available at the click of a button or a tap on the screen, we've become conditioned to expect quick fixes, fast outcomes, and instant gratification. But when it comes to personal growth, transformation, and even success, the process is everything. We often want to skip past the difficult moments. We want to rush through the pain, the challenges, the waiting. We see someone else's success and think, I want that now. But what we don't see behind the scenes is the hard work, the failures, the persistence, and the time it took to get there. In reality, growth takes time. It's through the seasons of struggle, the moments of doubt, and the days when you feel like giving up that your character is being formed. This is the process. Think about a seed being planted in the ground. At first, there's nothing to see. It looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, roots are taking hold. And slowly, the seed begins to push through the soil. The process is invisible at first. You can't see it, and sometimes you can't feel it. But in time, the results emerge. Leaves, branches, fruit. The seed has to go through a series of stages to grow into the tree it's meant to be. If it tried to skip any part of that process, it wouldn't have the strength to stand tall. It's the process that builds its foundation. The same applies to us. When we try to bypass the hard parts, we miss the chance to strengthen our character, build our resilience, and gain wisdom. Without the process, we would never learn to handle the responsibilities and opportunities that come with success. We might want to avoid the struggles, but the truth is, those struggles are shaping us into the people we're meant to become. We need to learn to lean into those times, not resist them. Embracing the process also means acknowledging that the end result is not always going to look the way we expected it to. We have our ideas of how things should go, but the reality is that God or life itself might have a different path. That doesn't mean we're failing or that something has gone wrong. It means the process is teaching us flexibility, adaptability, and trust. The detours and unexpected turns are not signs that we've been abandoned. They are part of our growth. If we were to rush to the finish line without experiencing the twists and turns, we wouldn't have the perspective and strength that come from having walked through them. Patience is key in embracing the process. We want everything now, but waiting is where we develop endurance. Endurance, not in just getting through it, but in learning to thrive despite the wait. Patience teaches us to trust, not just in the process, but in the one who is orchestrating every detail. There's power in trusting that the journey is unfolding exactly as it should, even when we can't see the full picture. Trusting in timing can be one of the most difficult yet essential practices we can develop in life. We live in a world that thrives on speed. We're taught that faster is better, that delays are inconveniences, and that waiting is a sign of inefficiency. But when it comes to the unfolding of our futures, timing is everything. And sometimes the most important thing we can do is trust that things will happen when they are meant to happen. But thankfully, the most important thing we can do is trust that things will happen when they are meant to happen. Timing is something that often feels out of our control. We can work tirelessly, pray fervently, and give our best efforts, yet still, things don't unfold in the way we expect them to or on the timeline we desire. It's easy to become frustrated or discouraged when we feel like we've done all we can and still find ourselves waiting for something to shift. But the reality is that perfect timing is not always our timing. There's a powerful truth in knowing that there is a season for everything. Life has a rhythm, a pattern that moves in cycles we might not always understand, but that we must learn to trust. Just like the seasons of nature, spring, summer, fall, and winter, each phase serves a unique purpose. Spring is for planting, summer for growing, fall for harvesting, and winter for rest and preparation. Every season in your life has its time and place, and it's in the waiting that we're often being prepared for what's next. Trusting in timing means understanding that sometimes you're in a season of preparation, not action. There is wisdom in waiting, in letting things unfold naturally. We often don't realize that we may not be ready for what we think we are asking for. If something were to happen too soon, before we are truly equipped or mature enough, it could derail us instead of fulfilling us. What seems like a delay is actually an opportunity to grow, to learn, to develop the strength, character, and wisdom you'll need to fully embrace what's ahead. One of the hardest aspects of trusting in timing is battling the impatience that arises when we don't see immediate results. We often think that if we want something badly enough, it should happen now. But when we allow ourselves to trust in God's timing, we acknowledge that He sees the bigger picture. He knows what's ahead, and He knows what we need when we need it. While we might see a closed door as a setback, He may see it as protection. While we may be frustrated by a delay, He may be preparing us for something far greater than we imagine. Timing is also a reminder that life is not a race. We're often so caught up in comparing ourselves to others, measuring our progress against someone else's. But when we trust in our own timing, we stop focusing on the competition and start living with purpose in our own lane. Your story is unique, and your timing is uniquely yours. It's easy to look at someone else's success and think, I should be there by now. But comparison only leads to discouragement. Your journey has its own rhythm, and when you learn to trust it, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to keep up with someone else's pace. So trust in timing. Trust that what's for you will not pass you by, that delays are not denials, and that everything you're experiencing right now is preparing you for what's ahead. There's a reason for every season, even when you can't see it, even when it feels like nothing is moving. Know that God's timing is perfect, and when the time is right, everything will fall into place. Letting go of control is one of the most liberating yet challenging things we can do. In a world that constantly pushes us to manage every aspect of our lives, to plan, to schedule, to predict every outcome, we are often left feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, and anxious. The desire to control is rooted in fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, and fear of uncertainty. But what if the very thing that is keeping us stuck is the need to control everything around us? When we hold tightly to control, we limit ourselves from experiencing the freedom and peace that come from releasing our grip on the future. Control is an illusion. No matter how much we plan, how hard we work, or how much we try to predict the future, we cannot control the outcome. Life is unpredictable, and trying to force things into our own timeline only leads to frustration and burnout. In fact, the more we try to control, the more we end up feeling out of control. There's a deep sense of peace that comes with surrendering control. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It doesn't mean resigning ourselves to a life of inaction or apathy. It means recognizing that we are not the ultimate authors of our story. We are co-authors with a higher power. It means choosing faith over fear, trusting that the path we are on is leading us exactly where we need to go, even if it doesn't look the way we imagine it would. We often try to control the outcomes because we want certainty. We want to know that our efforts will lead to success, that our decisions will be rewarded, and that we won't experience pain or disappointment. But in reality, life is a mix of highs and lows, successes and setbacks. The desire to control is often a response to our fear of disappointment or loss. Yet holding on to that fear and control only keeps us stuck in a cycle of stress and anxiety. Letting go of control means accepting that not everything is within our power, and that's okay. It means releasing the need to have everything figured out, every decision mapped out in advance. When we let go of the illusion of control, we open ourselves up to the unknown with a sense of trust, knowing that we can handle whatever comes our way. It's about stepping into the mystery of life with confidence, trusting that the universe or a higher power has a plan for us, even if we can't see it yet. In relationships, letting go of control is vital for growth and harmony. We can't control the actions, thoughts, or emotions of others. Trying to manipulate or force someone to behave or think the way we want them to only leads to resentment and disconnection. Instead, we can choose to let go of the need to control others, allowing them the space to be who they are. This doesn't mean we allow harmful behavior or neglect boundaries, but it does mean accepting that other people's paths and journeys are not ours to dictate. When we let go of control, we invite spontaneity and creativity into our lives. We make room for opportunities and surprises that we might not have planned for, but are exactly what we need. The beauty of life is that it's unpredictable, and when we embrace that uncertainty, we find joy in the unexpected. Letting go of control doesn't mean being passive. It means being present, embracing what is, and allowing life to unfold in its own perfect timing. Overcoming fear is one of the most transformative and empowering things we can do in life. Fear has a way of paralyzing us, keeping us from taking risks, chasing dreams, and stepping into the life we were meant to live. It has the power to cloud our judgment, distort our perception of reality, and hold us back from the opportunities that are right in front of us. But fear doesn't have to control us. When we learn to overcome it, we gain freedom to act, to grow, and to become the person we were always meant to be. The first thing we must recognize is that fear is natural. It's part of the human experience. Fear isn't something we can completely eliminate from our lives, nor should we try to. In fact, fear has a purpose. It's a survival mechanism that alerts us to danger and helps us navigate challenging situations. However, when fear grows out of proportion or takes hold of us in situations where it's not warranted, it becomes a barrier to growth. The key to overcoming fear is not eliminating it altogether, but learning how to respond to it differently. One of the first steps in overcoming fear is acknowledging it. It's easy to deny fear or try to push it down, but that only gives it more power. When we face our fears head on, when we name them and allow ourselves to feel them, we take away their control. The more we try to avoid fear, the more it will control us. But when we confront it, we break the cycle of avoidance and gain clarity. We can then evaluate whether the fear is based on reality or if it's a false alarm, a product of our imagination. Fear thrives in uncertainty. It preys on the unknown, telling us stories of worst-case scenarios that may never come to pass. But when we step into uncertainty with courage, we realize that the worst is rarely as bad as our minds make it out to be. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to move forward in spite of it. Every time we take a step forward, even if it's a small one, we weaken the power that fear holds over us. Another powerful way to overcome fear is through the practice of faith. Fear often arises from a lack of trust in ourselves, in others, or in the future. But faith is the antidote to fear. When we trust that we are not alone in the process, that we are supported by a higher power, and that we have what it takes to navigate whatever comes our way, fear loses its grip. Faith doesn't mean we have all the answers or that we are guaranteed success. It means that we trust the journey, knowing that we are capable of handling whatever challenges lie ahead. Additionally, fear can be overcome by changing our perspective. Fear often distorts reality, making us focus on the potential risks and dangers rather than the opportunities and possibilities. When we shift our focus to what we stand to gain rather than what we might lose, fear starts to lose its power. Instead of being paralyzed by the what ifs, we can ask ourselves, what if this turns out better than I imagined? Changing our mindset from a place of fear to a place of possibility allows us to move forward with confidence. Overcoming fear also involves embracing the idea of failure. Many of us are afraid of failing, and that fear keeps us stuck. But failure isn't the end. It's often the beginning of growth and learning. Failure is not a reflection of our worth or ability. It's simply part of the process. Every successful person has encountered failure along the way, but what separates them from those who never try is that they didn't let fear of failure stop them. They took the lessons from each setback and used them as stepping stones towards success. Finally, surrounding ourselves with positive influences can help us overcome fear. When we are supported by people who encourage us, who believe in us even when we don't believe in ourselves, it becomes easier to face our fears. Their faith in us can help us tap into our own courage. Fear often isolates us, making us feel like we are alone in our struggles, but community can remind us that we are never truly alone. Choosing faith over fear is one of the most powerful decisions we can make, especially when life feels uncertain, overwhelming, or challenging. Fear is a natural response to the unknown, but faith is the response that empowers us to move forward with courage and hope, even when we can't see the whole picture. It's easy to let fear dictate our actions, to let it hold us back, to let it keep us small. But faith calls us to rise above those fears, to trust in something greater than what we can see with our eyes or control with our hands. Fear often arises from our desire to control the future, to know what's coming next, and to avoid anything that might cause us pain or discomfort. It thrives in the unknown and fills our minds with worst-case scenarios, often blowing things out of proportion. But faith challenges that narrative. Faith shifts our focus away from what we fear and redirects it toward what we believe is possible, even in the face of uncertainty. Faith is the antidote to fear because it shifts our trust from ourselves to a higher power, one that is greater than any obstacle or difficulty we might face. When we choose faith over fear, we choose to believe that there is a purpose in every season, in every trial, and in every delay. Faith teaches us that even when things don't go as planned, even when life doesn't make sense, there is a bigger picture at play. Faith allows us to rest in the knowledge that we are not alone, that we are being guided and supported, even in our most uncertain moments. While fear whispers lies about failure, inadequacy, or hopelessness, faith speaks truth about strength, potential, and God's promises for our lives. Faith also gives us the strength to move forward even when we're not sure of the outcome. The fear of failure often paralyzes us, making us hesitate or avoid taking risks altogether. We worry that if we step out, if we try something new or different, we might fall short, we might fail. But faith reminds us that failure is not the end of the story. In fact, failure is often a stepping stone, a part of the process that leads us to growth, learning, and ultimately success. Faith helps us see failure as an opportunity to grow, not a reason to retreat. With faith, we can step into the unknown with confidence, knowing that we are equipped for whatever comes our way. Choosing faith over fear also means choosing hope in the face of adversity. Life isn't always easy. We all face challenges, heartaches, and disappointments. Fear tempts us to believe that we won't make it through, that the darkness will never lift, and that we'll never find our way out. But faith tells us that we are stronger than we think, that we have the resilience to keep going, and that there is always hope, even when things seem hopeless. Faith is the belief that the best is yet to come, that no matter how tough things are now, God has something good in store for our future. Moreover, faith over fear requires us to let go of the need to understand everything. We want answers, clarity, and certainty, but often faith calls us to move forward without knowing exactly what's ahead. It calls us to trust in the journey, even when we can't see the whole path. Fear, on the other hand, demands answers and certainty before we take a step. Fear tells us to stay comfortable, to avoid the unknown. But faith pushes us out of our comfort zones, trusting that even in the uncertainty, God is at work, leading us towards something better than we could ever imagine. And we see this over and over again in the story. Choosing faith over fear is not a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. It's a constant reminder that we don't have to be ruled by fear, that we can take each step with the confidence that God is with us. Every time we choose faith, we strengthen our trust in the divine plan for our lives. And with each step, we grow stronger, braver, and more equipped to face whatever life throws our way. So, the power of perspective is one of the most influential forces in shaping our experiences, choices, and ultimately our lives. Perspective is the lens through which we view the world around us. It colors how we interpret our circumstances, how we react to challenges, and how we respond to the people we encounter. A small shift in perspective can completely transform a situation, turning obstacles into opportunities and failures into lessons. The way we choose to perceive life determines the quality of our journey. The truth is, we don't always have control over the events that happen to us, but we do have control over how we perceive and respond to them. Life doesn't always go the way we expect or hope it will. We face setbacks, disappointments, and moments of difficulty. When these challenges arise, fear and negativity often creep in, distorting our view of the situation and making us feel as though things are hopeless or out of our control. But what if, instead of seeing adversity as a roadblock, we chose to see it as a stepping stone, a moment of growth? Perspective allows us to reframe our circumstances, to see beyond the immediate pain and discomfort and recognize the potential for something greater. When we change our perspective, we begin to see the hidden lessons in the struggles. For example, consider a difficult season in life, whether it's a job loss, a failed relationship, or an unexpected health challenge. At first, these events can feel like the end of the world. We may ask, why me? Or feel overwhelmed by the uncertainty of the future. But with a shift in perspective, we can begin to see these challenges as part of a bigger picture. What if this setback is preparing you for something better? What if it's an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, or more resilient? The circumstances may not change, but our response to them becomes entirely different. The power of perspective also plays a crucial role in how we view other people. We all have different backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences that shape our interactions. When we approach others with empathy and understanding, choosing to see things from their perspective, we open the door to compassion, connection, and unity. This doesn't mean we have to agree with everyone's choices or actions, but choosing to see things from their point of view can foster kindness, reduce judgment, and lead to more harmonious relationships. Moreover, perspective influences how we handle success. When we achieve something significant, our natural tendency may be to boast or to feel superior, but a shift in perspective can help us approach success with humility, understanding that it's not just our efforts that brought us there, but a combination of timing, grace, and the support of others. Success viewed through a lens of gratitude is empowering rather than self-centered. It allows us to celebrate our achievements while recognizing that we are part of a bigger story. Perspective also affects how we handle challenges in our personal growth. The road to self-improvement is rarely linear. There are moments of progress, but also times of stagnation, failure, or setbacks. How we perceive these times can either derail us or propel us forward. If we see failure as a reflection of our worth, it can leave us discouraged and defeated. But if we see failure as a learning opportunity, as a moment to refine our skills or deepen our character, it becomes part of the growth process. Shifting our perspective on failure allows us to move through it with resilience and perseverance instead of letting it define us. Finally, perspective gives us the ability to find meaning in the most difficult situations. When we view challenges through the lens of purpose, we start to believe that there is something valuable in every experience. Every hardship, no matter how painful, can contribute to the development of who we are meant to become. The power of perspective is the ability to see life not just for what it is, but for what it can teach us and how it can shape us into stronger, more compassionate people. In life, the key to navigating challenges and achieving growth lies in embracing key principles, trusting in timing, letting go of control, overcoming fear, choosing faith over fear, and shifting our perspective. Each of these principles empowers us to move through life with confidence, resilience, and purpose. We don't have to have everything figured out or be in control of every outcome. What matters is our ability to trust the journey, to believe in the process, and to see beyond our circumstances. When we adopt these truths, we open ourselves up to limitless possibilities and the strength to face whatever comes our way.